gadgets. Yes, it's working. Right. Hello. As Ellie said, my name's Ian Wells. I'm a senior lecturer in school, and amongst other roles, I work on our cyber psychology teaching and our cyber psychology BSc program as well. And what I thought I'd do is to give you a little bit of a demonstration of both sides of what cyber psychology is, because you walk into a room like this and there's a lot of various weird bits of technology around and it just looks like it's about that. But actually, cyber psychology is really much more about how we as human beings interact with all this stuff. And the sort of things, for example, am I guessing you've probably all got one of these, or the equivalent, probably within 5 seconds of knowing exactly where it is. But these are very odd things. Do you know how long ago the iPhone was? What year was the iPhone first released? Anybody? Somebody must have a guess, surely. 2007. And in that period, these things have completely transformed the way we behave. So, some very simple examples of that. How long before you wake up in the morning is it before you look at your phone? Anybody take more than half an hour? No? Anybody want to confess that it's the very first thing you look at first thing in the morning? Even after you've looked at the alarm, you never look at any of the notifications or anything like that. Well, you're very well behaved. You're looking like you're going to confess to it. But even very simple things, like if you're doing A-level psychology, you'll have undoubtedly done things about memory. And usually you'll start off with things like saying that short-term memory's got a capacity of 7 plus or minus 2, George Miller, 1950, whenever it was. But if I was to put up my telephone number on that screen now, what would quite a lot of you do in order to remember it? Get your phone out, take a picture of the screen. Yeah. We just defaulted to, we've always got this thing with us, so why don't we use that as memory? So, does that make a difference to our short-term memory? And are we using our short-term memory for other things? It's a perfectly reasonable question. And there are a lot of other areas of, if you like, everyday life that cyber psychology is involved in. Social media being a very obvious example. Why do people behave so differently on social media than they do in real life? It's a very live question that actually, although it's part of cyber psychology at the moment, it's sort of mainstream psychology. But also we do a lot of other things. Areas like, give you a sensible explanation. One of the most interesting things, and one of the things I think by the time you've all graduated as psychologists, it's going to be a really, really big area, is traditionally, psychologists have done research by getting a sample of people. We'll test 75 people, we'll do something with them, we'll do some elaborate statistics, and then we'll make some conclusion about how everybody would behave. But actually, increasingly, because we're all using these things, the data for everybody already exists. If you want to know about a lot of areas of behaviour, look at what's on these things. It's a great way of doing research. And increasingly, it's an area called big data is becoming really, really important to the way psychologists actually study behaviour. If you wanted to, if you go back even 20 years, and you studied how people used language, you might get samples of written materials from newspapers and the like. Now, Facebook, Twitter, got millions and millions of